Yeah, it's live now, I believe. 2 minutes to go.
Yes, sir.
Veda Handwriting Lab aims at providing a foolproof, time-tested, and result-oriented approach towards training where the teachers and students develop a unique style of handwriting. It is rather a program aimed at restructuring and transforming the handwriting practice.
My success is my handwriting. My success is my handwriting. My success is my handwriting. My success is my handwriting.
Good or bad handwriting? Very good evening to all the participants. Let us have a 10 seconds silent prayer. Welcome back. Today's moderator is Dr. Suresh Nair. He is the one who introduced NEP quiz. It has attended around 3,000 participants. Now he is behind another big project that is the CEIR, the Mark of Best School Award. To Mr. Suresh Nair, he is a principal of Vivek Vidyalaya, Mumbai, and he got around 32 years of experience as a principal, have got numerous awards in the field of education and got a Best Teacher Award in the National Olympiad Association, New Delhi. And he is a strong pillar of CEIR. I welcome Dr. Suresh Nair. Sir, please.
Thank you, Stephen, sir. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to each one of you to the 6th of our NEP Masterclass webinar series organized by CEIR, that is the Center for Educational Initiatives and Research Trust Global. Center for Educational Initiatives and Research, CEIR, as all of you are aware of, is a forum of experts and scholars who aim at nourishing the talents of educators and to raise the education sector in India to global standards. CEIR has an efficient mode of directors, zonal directors, and premium members all across India and the Middle East. Since the year 2009, CEIR has been conducting a series of programs for students, teachers, principals, and members of the school management. Principals conclaves have been conducted in many cities in South India. Campus Connect program and Pathways, career counseling sessions for students are other remarkable initiatives by CEIR. The pandemic saw CEIR conducting as many as 49 virtual workshops for principals and teachers, 23 handwriting made easy programs, and 7 career guidance programs for students. An interaction with Controller of Examinations, CBSE, Sri Sayam Bardwaj, has been planned for 27th February for principals and vice principals of Dubai Zone. Good handwriting and bad handwriting is a myth. There is only trained and untrained handwriting. Trained handwriting is a must for teachers as well as students. Teachers must be handwriting experts. In order to achieve this objective, CEIR has initiated a handwriting training for the teachers called as the Lost Art of Handwriting. Please note that this training is only for teachers. For more details, please click on the link given in the chat box. We feel proud to share that CEIR was the pioneer in conducting a national level quiz on NEP 2020 in the month of December, which saw 3,095 participants. Mr. Anurag Tripadi, Secretary CBSE, and other dignitaries from CBSE participated in the award function. We feel happy to see that CBSE has also launched a national level NEP quiz recently. We are extremely happy to announce that CEIR plans to honor outstanding schools with CEIR, the Mark of Excellence Awards from this year onwards. The main eligibility criteria is that the nominee school should be a CEIR premium member school. Please note that CEIR premium membership for the teachers as well as the school does not have any membership fee. For membership and more information, please visit CEIRglobal.com and join our Facebook page for the updates on all activities of CEIR. Our NEP Masterclass webinar series was inaugurated on 2nd February 2021 by the Secretary of CBSE, Sri Anurag Tripathi, and we are today at the 6th one. We have 2 more webinars to go on 23rd and 27th February, respectively. It gives us a lot of gratification to see full attendance in all our webinars and receive excellent positive feedback. A committed and dedicated team of CEIR members under the leadership of Mrs. Vijayam Karta, one of our zonal directors and the founder trustee of Kerala Public Schools, Jamshedpur, is working behind the scenes for the success of this program. Coming to today's topic, equitable and inclusive education, learning for all. I am reminded of a quote by Nelson Mandela, one of the greatest leaders of all the times. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. The education system should be such that no child should be left behind or lose any opportunity to learn and excel because of circumstances of birth or background. Friends, we are honored to have Ms.Madhulika Bhupatkar as a speaker of the day. We also have 2 eminent panelists, Dr. Mrs. Eva Chandran, Principal of Sri Sharda Vidyalaya Kochi, who is a national awardee and member CEIR Board of Directors, and Dr. Mrs. Rupali Damdere, Principal Trinity International School, Pune, and a zonal director of CEIR. Dr. Subhash Nair, Principal Shantiniketan Indian School, Chairman Sahodaya Gulf Region, and CEIR Zonal Director, Qatar, will conclude the session and propose vote of thanks. I welcome you all to today's webinar. We are also privileged to have CEIR Board of Directors, other zonal directors, premium members, principals, and teachers amongst us. Once again, I cordially welcome you all on behalf of CEIR. And now let me introduce our speaker for the day, Ms. Madhulika Bhupatkar, a master trainer CBSE and ex-principal Gurukul, Pune, Maharashtra. Ms. Madhulika has been in the field of school education since 1980, starting her job in a play school and after many stints in various roles, retiring as a principal of Gurukul School in Pune. As a master trainer, Ms. Madhulika conducts workshops for CBSE school teachers on themes like classroom management, gender sensitivity, inclusive education, etc. Before I hand over the platform to Madam, I request all the participants to mute yourselves and keep your videos on. Please post your questions in the chat box. Please note that e-certificates will be issued only to those who attend and submit feedback of at least 5 sessions of this series. The feedback form will be posted in the chat box towards the end of the session. Now, over to you, ma'am. Madhulika, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind words. And thanks to the complete team of CEIR for giving me this opportunity to put forth my thoughts in front of such a big audience. And it's not going to be an interactive session, I know. I will try and make it as interesting as possible. And I won't say that I'm an expert, but yes, I'm going to speak from the experiences that I'm going through and I've gone through. And CEIR is doing a wonderful job and creating an awareness amongst the educators. That's really good. and I've been given this responsibility to unfold the points put forth by the NEP, and of course, and also the practices used by schools. So before I start, usually I start with meditation because of course we started off with 10-second meditation, but this is also one of the strategies that we use in classrooms. So I would like all of you to just listen to me and follow my instructions. This gives me, I can focus on my, whatever I'm doing right now for 1 hour, so I can focus on my work. And also the participants can concentrate and unwind what they're doing and concentrate and what they're going to listen to me now. Okay, so just give me 2 minutes and listen to my instructions. If you're wearing spectacles, kindly remove them and put them aside. Sit up straight. Roll up your shoulders. Gently close your eyes. Concentrate on your breathing. Deep inhalation and deep exhalation. You might hear many sounds around you. Just listen to them. You will have many thoughts in your minds right now. Just be with them. Deep inhalation and deep exhalation. We'll just say a prayer, which is very dear to me as an educator and as a teacher. Dear God, give me the serenity to accept the things which I cannot change. Give me the courage to change the things which I can, and give me the wisdom to see the difference. Rub your palm and put them on your eyes and open your eyes gently into your palm. I like this courage because as an educator or as an educator for all of us, we have an immense power to change the things if we want to. But we need to have the courage to change what we feel it's right for us or right for our students. Okay, so we'll start now. What is inclusion to me? What does inclusion mean to me? That is an introspection we all need to do. When I introspected myself, because I want you all to do it while you're listening to me right now, there are 3 things came to my mind. One is about the social barrier, second is about the language barrier, and the third one is parental mindset on inclusion. The social barrier, when I thought about that, when I closed my eyes and I was introspecting, when we were young, there was no social barrier at all in our school because we were all addressed by our first name. Madhuri, my maiden name is Madhuri, so they used to call me Madhuri D. My friends will be Suma V, Usha D. Everybody used to be called by their first name. So there was no surname, so there were no social barriers. Of course, I suffered because, not suffered I would say, but language barriers were there because my parents were from Indore. I was born in Indore and I was brought up in Karnataka. I'm from a very small town from Karnataka called Harihar, which is very close to Bangalore. And after my marriage, I came to Pune. So jokingly, I used to say that I was born in Madhya Pradesh, brought up in Karnataka, and then living in Maharashtra. So there was a lot of initially in school, the friends, sometimes they accepted me, sometimes they did not accept me because of my accent, because of my language, or maybe I was totally not accepted in the group. But when we went to cousins, they also used to feel the same thing because we were not accepted when we used to come to Pune or Maharashtra. Okay. So what happens is all these things, these baggages we keep in our mind, or it remains with us till we grow older. So as an educator, we have to be very, very careful and see to it that we do not exclude anyone only because of the language or any other barrier. That is one thing I learned. And also regarding the parental mindset, I used to work in Delhi in a daycare school. It was a school which had a daycare also. And it was situated in Vasant Vihar. In Vasant Vihar, because it was very close to all different, we used to get all different nationalities and parents from different nationalities, and also a lot of expats used to join the school because it was supposed to be a very good daycare school. And we had a child from an underdeveloped country. I won't take the name of the country. And there were many children who were from developed country also. So this child from an underdeveloped country, he had the habit of biting the kids, just 1.5 or 2-year-old. He may be getting he was getting his teeth, and he used to bite the children. He used to enjoy it. Of course, he never used to bite so hard. But once what happened was he bit a child who was from developed country. Sorry, from underdeveloped country. So that child from underdeveloped country came, parent from underdeveloped country came to me and said that you must get an apology from the other parent, because if the same thing had happened, like a vice versa, suppose if that child had bit my child, they would have definitely asked for an apology letter. So I want the apology letter. So parents have these baggages of their own experiences, and they carry these experiences and then they pass on to their children. So as an educator, we also need to try and change the mindset of the parents. So that's a very difficult task, but slowly and steadily we need to move towards that. Okay, so this is what I thought. And as a teacher and as an educator also, we carry on our own baggages and we don't leave it, or we don't throw away those baggages, and we carry on those baggages, and the same kind of experiences we give it to our own children, to our own students. So we need to understand ourselves first, and then we need to help our children to understand the different barriers and help them to move ahead with it. Okay, so can we move ahead, sir, please? Next slide. So this is the video I'm going to show you. Just listen to it, see the video, and see what you feel about it. Sir, we can't hear the sound. Can everybody hear the sound?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Listen, sir, sound, please.
The duck was very good at swimming, better than the teacher. In fact, he received passing grades in learning and flying, but was hopeless in climbing, so they made him drop swimming so that he could practice. Once upon a time, the animals had a school. They had to create a curriculum that would satisfy everyone, so they chose 4 subjects: running, climbing, flying, and swimming. All the animals, of course, studied all of the subjects. The duck was very good at swimming, better than the teacher, in fact. He received passing grades in running and flying, but was hopeless in climbing, so they made him drop swimming so that he could practice climbing. After a while, he was only average in swimming, but average is still acceptable, at least in school, and nobody worried much about it except the duck. The eagle was considered a troublemaker. In his climbing class, he beat everybody to the top of the tree, but he had his own way of getting there that was against the rules. He always had to stay after school and write cheating and wrong 500 times. This kept him from scoring what he liked, but schoolwork comes first. The bear flunked because they said he was lazy, especially in the winter. His best time was summer, but school wasn't open enough. The zebra played hooky a lot because the pony made fun of his stripes, and this made him very sad. The kangaroo started out at the top of the racing class, but became discouraged when told to move swiftly on all four legs the way his classmates did. The fish quit school because he was bored. To him, all four subjects were the same. But nobody understood that because they had never seen a fish. The squirrel got an A in climbing, but his flying teacher made him start from the ground up instead of from the treetop down. His legs got so sore practicing takeoffs that he began getting C's in climbing and D's in running. The bee was the biggest problem of all, so the teacher sent him to Dr. Owl for testing. Dr. Owl said that the bee's wings were too small for flying, and they were in the wrong place. The bee never saw Dr. Owl's report, so he just went ahead and flew anyway. I think I know a bee or two. How about you? The duck is the child who does well in math and poorly in English, and is giving tutorials while the English teacher and his classmates are doing math. He loses his edge in math and doesn't even pass it without English. The eagle is the child who is turned into a troublemaker because he has his own style of doing things. While he's not doing anything wrong, his non-conforming is perceived as troublemaking, for which he is punished. Who does not recognize the bear? The kid who is great in camp, thrives on extracurricular, but just goes flat in the academics. The zebra is a heavy, tall, short, or self-conscious kid whose failure in school, he realizes, is due to a sense of social inadequacy. The kangaroo is the one who, instead of persevering, gives up and becomes that discouraged child whose future disappears because he was not appreciated. The fish is a child who requires full special education and cannot shine in a regular environment. The squirrel, unlike the duck who manages, becomes a failure. The bee or the bee is the child who in school just feels it cannot do well. Yet against all odds, with the backing of his parents, he manages through self-motivation to do well, even though everyone knows he couldn't. Some children are skilled in connection, others are best emotions.
Madhulika ma'am, the
Yes,
sound
sir.
was little bit cracking, so there was chats coming in. So you can just explain also while
No
you were speaking
problem.
about it.
Yes, yeah. So this video itself is very self-explanatory, actually. Sir, you can just keep the video on. Yeah, sorry. We can go to this later, this slide. Okay, so it's very self-explanatory, the video itself, because as educators and as teachers, we concentrate more on what children cannot do or on the disability than the ability. That's what I feel. And for me, inclusion is not only creating a barrier-free environment, but creating a belongingness. The children should belong to the group or the class, or that kind of a belongingness the teacher should bring into the class so that she gets so connected with the students. That is very important. So, yes, sir, next slide. So Ovid de Crowley, he said, actually there were many, have been many pioneer efforts on inclusive education. But this one, I liked it because what he says is the school will be located wherever is the nature, wherever life is, and wherever the work is. But these days, we don't find it. I'm going to be a little blunt about it because we find wherever there is place, there is construction and there is school. That should not happen, but we should give a lot of time for there should be nature also for the students, and of course life should be there in school. And what he founded a school for children with mild disabilities like behavioral disorders and learning disabilities and light and mental retardation and all. And then gradually he invented his own pedagogy. Okay, sir, can we go next, please? And his basis was very connected to what we are going to talk about. And that was almost 90 years back, what he was talking about, same thing we are planning to do now. And we have been doing, I'm not saying that we don't do it, but we are stressing more on these issues. De Crowley's basis was the hobbies and interest of the child is guide to education. So you have to concentrate on the hobbies and the interest of the children, not like the fish can swim well, but he cannot run, so concentrate on running. Or the eagle can fly very high, but he can do it so well, but he cannot run, so concentrate on running. So that should not happen with the children. Suppose if the child is good in maths, concentrate on his maths. Or suppose if the child is good in singing, concentrate on his singing or his abilities or in interest, okay? And globalization means the child learns globally. So during this COVID-19, I don't have to say that this globalization word has come up so many times. And children are learning globally, and children learn much more than what is already there for them to learn. So that also the teacher needs to understand and accordingly plan her sessions. The classwork and class laboratory in which the child lives and works. These are all hands-on experiences that you're going to give to the students. That is very important. And the importance of natural environment. Everybody speaks about natural environment. Why? Because the parts that puts the child in a situation of discovery. So he can discover whatever he wants. Just take them out and show them and let them discover on their own. Yeah, go to the next slide, sir. So what is the aim of inclusion? Inclusion is to embrace all people, irrespective of race, gender, disability. You all know about this, medical or other need. It is about giving equal access and opportunity and getting rid of discrimination and intolerance. Intolerance is a good word that we need to use. And then it affects all aspects of public life if there is intolerance, because we have heard this intolerance word just 1 year back. There were a lot of people who were coming out and then talking about their intolerance. Okay, so that should not happen. So next, sir, next slide, sir. NEP is also in line with this. What does it say? Education is the single greatest tool for achieving social justice and equality. Inclusion and equitable education means, while indeed an essential goal in its own right, and also critical to achieving an inclusive and equitable society in which every citizen has an opportunity to dream, thrive, and contribute to the nation. Every time, not a single child or not a single person should be left out. And it also says the India children, so that no child loses any opportunity to learn or excel because of their circumstances of birth or the background. So as far as possible, the government is also making a lot of effort to bring in these children into mainstream. Of course, it's going to take long time, but still we are all making efforts as educators, and government is also helping, and we need to help the government to bring in this, to break these barriers. Then the policy also reaffirms bridging the social category gaps in access, participation, and learning outcomes in education. Yes, sir. Next. So what does these terms say to us? Exclusion, segregation, integration, and inclusion. These are all words that we use all the time. Exclusion and segregation, most of you understand, but there is little difference in integration and inclusion. Many of the schools integrate the students and they do not include. So what does integration mean? Integration means you come to me, come to my school, come to my class, but I will not change. You need to change according to the system. But inclusion means, sir, next slide, please. What does inclusion means? Inclusion means all students learn together. And changing the system of the school, not only the infrastructure. Of course, we change the infrastructure. I can see lots of lovely schools having lovely infrastructure, and but they don't change the curriculum, or there is less staff who can take care of the children. But we need to change the infrastructure, yes, but infrastructure and also modifying the curriculum, that is also very, very important, and the method of instructions and type of assessment that we do, and changing the mindsets of the parents, teachers, and the staff. Many of the teachers are also not ready to do the we'll talk about that multi-level planning and all later, but they're not ready, or they're not trained to do multi-level planning. So many of the schools do not have the staff members who can, competent teachers who can do this kind of modifying the curriculum, or they do not have the counselors. Some of the schools have good infrastructures, but there is no counselor in school. But they have good infrastructure, counselor is there, but there is nobody to go and help the children into the classrooms. So there are many things that affect for the inclusion. Of course, you take the children into the school because you like to say that we are inclusive schools, but actually speaking, the schools are not inclusive. They are just integrating the children. They're not helping the students the way we wanted. Okay, so we will see how to go about it now. Yes, sir, next slide, please. So what does inclusion say? All students are learning together. We don't segregate them. Once they come into the class, we say that these children are, we don't want them to, suppose even for some of the schools, I feel that RT children are kept separately and other children are kept separately, or maybe the children with learning disabilities are kept separately, or they're sent to different classes. So, but we need to find a way to make these students learn together, and giving teachers assistance and supports. If the teacher has got 40 students and maybe she must have 4 or 5 children who need help, so she needs help in the classroom. So that kind of a help should be given. So the schools also need to spend more on teacher training, then also for the teachers and the teachers' competency, selections of the teachers. Okay, so then focusing on abilities, that's what I was saying, not on disabilities of the students. Teachers learning to expand their skills. Teachers must expand their skills. They cannot sit in their own comfort zones. That I've been teaching for 20 years. Now I don't know, I can't do more than this. Because in one of the class sessions, the teacher asked me, ma'am, I've been doing so much, but the students are not showing any improvement. And I've done everything, but nothing is happening. So what do I do? I've done everything, ma'am. I don't know what to do. So you need to have that perseverance. But I asked her, which class is this?
Yes, ma'am.
She said, ma'am, 10th standard English class. Yes, sir?
Ma'am, there is yeah, because I mean, people are just saying that they are not able to hear properly. So little bit adjustment somewhere in the audio part anyway.
My audio? Should I?
Yeah.
Okay.
In case anything is can be done from that.
It's clear, sir. It's clear.
Clear. No, some in the chat box.
It's clear. It's clear.
Okay,
now is it clear?
Oh, it's clear, ma'am. Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So that teacher asked me, what do I do? I've been doing everything and I've tried everything, ma'am, but nothing is happening. And I asked her, which class is this? She said 10th standard English class. So I said, 10th standard English class, the children came up to 10th standard and nobody realized that there was some problem with these children. That is one. And are you a new teacher to the school? She said, yes, ma'am, I've just joined 6 months back. Then I said, first of all, just leave all the academics and then get to know your children. Because getting to know the children is more important than starting off with your academics. Maybe if you get to know your children, they will start learning better when you start teaching them. Okay, that is also very important. And you cannot put your hands up and say, I've done everything, I can't do anything more. You have to take help from different people. If you cannot do, if you have tried everything, go to some other teachers and ask them, what did you do? How did it help him? Okay, so all these things should happen. So teachers, they have to expand their learning skills also. Then connecting with individual learning styles, different children learn through different learning styles, isn't it? You all know about it. So it's all visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and reading and writing. So I will not repeat again, but you must know each and every child. That's what we say, that the pulse of the class, the teacher should know, and everybody's learning styles you should know. So you should give them all different types of experiences. They're honoring the needs of all people, okay, equally. Don't concentrate only on few children. Maybe you will concentrate only on few children who are taking more time to learn, or maybe sometimes you give more time to the children who are gifted. Okay, so average children are left out. So equally you have to distribute your timing and talk to the children. Then valuing other cultures and perspectives. Of course, diversity brings in a lot of, what I mean to say is, it helps the children also to know different cultures. So different festivals and different things that you celebrate in your schools, that will really help. Then celebrating diversity and individuality. Then nurturing shared respect and empathy. So when you take these children into the schools, like we had a child with autism spectrum. So every individual children were told about him before he joined the school. And you won't believe, the children were so protective about that child. And that child was so aggressive, he used to hit the children also sometimes. But they would never mind if that child hit them. And they never used to fight with him. So that is how the children understand if there is a problem with the child, they understand. And of course, they cooperate with the teachers also. And that's how they show the empathy towards others. Yes, sir. Next. Next slides. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about what NEP focuses on. So UDICE says that there are 19.6% of students belong to scheduled caste at the primary level. But then the percentage goes down when it goes to the higher classes. Okay, there are multiplicity of factors, including lack of access to quality schools. These children do not get the chance to go to quality schools. And tribal communities, when they come to when they come to the mainstream, they don't know how to adjust into the mainstream again. Okay, mainstream schools. And suppose now we are talking about the RTE children also, when they come to the schools, you can see the gap between the normal children and the RTE children. We don't call it as normal children, of course, but the children coming from different background and RTE children, there is a gap. And then it becomes very difficult for the teachers and the parents also to bridge this gap. Okay, so we all have to try and strive towards bridging the gap between these things. Yes, sir. Next. Next slide, sir. Okay, so separate strategies will be formulated for focused attention on reducing these social category gaps. And I was very happy about this RTE Act, because it's like a social responsibility for the parents also to give it to the society. When the RTE children come to school, of course, they are also helping these children, parents and children together. Okay, financially also some parents are ready to help these children. So the part of a community responsibility is taken by the parents who can afford. And that is really good. Only the 10% of RTE children who are going to come to your class, the other parents are capable of taking responsibility of the children of whatever those 10 children are coming to the class. Okay, so that is very important. And I'm very happy that RTE Act is there. So, sir, can you just go behind one slide, please? One slide. First slide, please. Yeah. So the policy acknowledged the importance of intervention. No, go ahead, please. And intervention is very, very important at this stage. And it should start from the lower classes. That's from play school. Okay. And the policy also recognizes the importance of creating enabling mechanism for providing children with special needs, like they're called it as Divyang these days. Yes, sir. Next. So we'll talk about intervention now. What, sir? First slide only. We'll go to, yeah.
This one now, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So why do we need to do the intervention first? And we need to understand the difference between, once we intervene, we need to understand the difference between the diagnosis and labeling. Because many of the teachers, they feel that they know what is happening in the class. And if the child is very hyper and moving around and does not sit in one place, making a lot of noise in the class and not paying attention, they start labeling the child as ADHD child. Or maybe he's very hyperactive. Or maybe if the child cannot have an eye contact, or sometimes cannot speak much, or not very oral, okay? So they feel that he is autistic. They know a little bit, but they don't know the exact background, or they don't know exactly what disability it is, and they start labeling the child. So instead of that, we need to have a format for intervention. How do we do that? So the teacher will observe the child. Suppose if she finds that the child is overactive and moving around, sometimes the child may be gifted. He's getting bored in your class, okay? So you need to understand the child better, and you need to observe the child maybe for 8 to 10 days or 15 days. And then if you feel that the same thing that what you are expecting the child is doing, he's doing the same things again and again, and you need to inform the counselor. Then the counselor will come and the counselor will observe the child again, and the counselor feels that yes, we need to intervene and talk to the parent, or first, of course, she has to take the permission from the principal and then talk to the parent. And once you talk to the parent and once you convince the parent, because it's very difficult to convince the parents also. Parents, it's very difficult to accept certain things, okay? So you need to convince the parent and get the necessary assessment done. And then we can say that the child needs some help. We can't say that the child has a problem, but the child needs some help. And of course, that help should be given by the school. Okay, so next, sir. Next slide. So what kind of help that we give? What kind of help that we give? So first is we need to modify the curriculum for the child, even for the lower classes. Learning environment, we need to change a little bit if it is required. Working with additional adults, grouping needs to be done properly, teacher communication, then pupil-teacher communication, and then the evaluation needs to be changed. Okay, these are the strategies that we need to use. Yes, sir, next. How do you modify the curriculum? Making changes according to the needs and learning styles of the child. Okay, then you need to concentrate on the core topic. Just the basic, what the child needs. We'll talk about it later, it is coming. Minimum level of learning, or also making different level assessment and different level of planning, okay? So we'll come to that later. Then what is the learning environment that we are going to change? Preferential seating you can do, that most of the schools are doing, I'm sure about it. Workplace can be created as a learning space for a child, okay? Different kinds of resources that you can give to children, maybe the EduCom boards or reading material, different types of displays you can have. Then health and safety needs to be checked of the child. Yes, next, sir. Next slide.
Yes.
Okay, pupil and teacher communication, give time to think about the question. As soon as we ask the question, we want the child to answer like this in a second. but you need to give the time for the child to answer. Okay, otherwise if other children are saying ma'am, 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 then they start saying that you go to the other child and ask the question. Okay, but let the child think and answer. Then ask them to discuss in pairs and answer. He can talk to the child who is sitting in front, sitting next to him, and then answer. Okay, respect their responses without disapproving. You can say that whatever you say is right, I'm going to listen to you, and listen carefully what the child is saying. Okay, and maybe sometimes you have to say that you can say in your own words, you can speak in your own language. Okay, don't keep the language as the barrier when the child is talking. Then how do you evaluate? Evaluating wording of questions planned carefully. It should need to be planned carefully for the child to understand. Then avoid complex vocabulary, not very difficult vocabulary. The children should be, it should be very simple for the child. Tone down the syllabus for the child. Simple questions, like you all know about the Bloom's taxonomy, cognitive learning domain that we have. It starts off with understanding, then remembering, then applying. So basically you have to concentrate on only understanding and remembering for this child. If the child starts remembering, then you go to the next level. So you keep on going to the next once the child understands that, okay? That way. Then give specific feedback regularly. Regularly you have to give the feedback. Don't say that corrections also need to be done on time, or suppose if the child answers correctly, immediately you should say that, yes, you answered it right. It was good. Okay, go and pat on his back or something like that. So give feedback regularly. Then oral evaluation or objective evaluation, or MCPs you can give, MCQs you can give. Okay, and you can ask for oral evaluations also. Avail of concessions given by the CBSE. There's so many concessions given by the CBSE. So you have to take all those concessions, because the language can be dropped. You all know about it. And then there is a scribe who you get for dyslexia or learning disabilities. All that you can use. Yes, sir. Next. Now the teacher communication. I always tell the teachers that knowing your children is much more important. That means you have achieved 90% of your goals. Once you know your children, you don't have to do much about it. Don't worry about the academics. That's what they say. First 15 days, you have to spend time on knowing your children. That is very, very important. Get connected emotionally with your children. Then you don't have to worry about anything in the class. And reviewing in the classroom, what do? Review your previous knowledge, then repeat the concept as and when required. Language should be very, very clear and accessible to the child. Use vernacular language if required. As I said, if the child cannot understand, sometimes, not always. Of course, we all say that we are from English medium school, they don't speak English, but the children come from all different backgrounds. You don't know which background they come from. So if you need to use sometimes, you can use it. Then highlight the keywords and the symbols that are there. Ask the child to learn only this much. Ask them to underline, and then it will help the child. Make sure instructions are very, very clear. One-step instructions, two-step instructions. Once you give instructions to the children, ask them to repeat the same instructions. What did I tell you just now? Then the children will repeat, because for every individual, not only the children, even for human beings, it is very difficult. Everybody interprets it in a different way. If you give instructions, suppose in your staff meeting also, you must have found even the teachers interpret in a different way. So you have, once you give the instructions, you ask the child to repeat what you have said. So it's easier for the child. Then break up the assignments into short tasks. Ask them to do little by little. Don't give them too many things at a time. Maybe if you are giving 5 sums or 10 sums to other children, you can ask the child to do only 2 sums at a time. Or maybe if you give 10 questions or 5 questions to other children, you can ask the child to do only the MCQs for him. Okay. So now, because of this online teaching, there's Google Forms are wonderful things for the children, and you can give lots of multiple choice questions. Okay, immediately after your lessons, you can give those, and children can do it in no time. Just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they just finish off their MCQs and you know whether the children have understood or not. So every class, the closure can be a Google form. So it becomes very, very easy for the children to finish that. Okay, instead of uploading or anything. Yes, sir. Go to the next, please. Then the pupil and teacher communication, the first one. Oh, sorry, this has been done already. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No problem.
So this question, this figure gives you a complete complete picture of what we spoke about just now. Cooperate and include all the children into the classroom. This is what you see here. Special education need children and all the children together. And then what is the job of the regular teacher? Regular teacher needs to involve the students and innovate. She needs to innovate. And she needs to think, what can I do to make my classroom happy and make my children understand, okay? There are all different ways that you can do, but you need to think about those and you will get a lot of ideas. Okay, so then what is the remedial teacher? What does the remedial teacher do? When the children are in the classroom, she goes into the classroom and she helps. Suppose if the teacher is teaching and she sits with the children who need help, she sits with them and she explains the same concept again to the child. Okay, so it helps the children because the children cannot take all the instructions given by the regular teacher. So the remedial teacher will simplify the instruction to the child. Okay, and what is the role of the shadow teacher? Suppose if the child is very aggressive and in the lower classes and teachers cannot manage or cannot handle, of course, with the help of the parent and with the help of the management, you have to talk about it and bring in the shadow teacher. She'll be, the name itself says, she'll be like a shadow to that child. The child, she will move with the child wherever the child is moving and she will help the child into the classroom. So all these people, this is the team that is going to help in your inclusive education for the children who are there in your classroom. Okay, so you need to have a counselor, you need to have a remedial teacher, you need to have a shadow teacher if required. Okay, that is how I'm talking about. You need to spend more time or more finances to bring in these teachers because we are spending so much of money on infrastructure. So we need to spend more time on the human resources that we require. And that is what I feel that the management should do. Yes, sir. Next. And evaluation. What kind of evaluation that we do? Evaluation also needs to be modified. No, we cannot give the same kind of evaluation that you're giving for your other children because many teachers do not accept that this kind of evaluation can be done. 3 levels of different evaluation can be done, okay? Because you know the learning curve, a few children, that is 5 to 10 children maybe at the level who need help. There are a few children, bigger lot in the average group, and the other 5-10 children are in the gifted group. Like ma'am said the other day, Mauli ma'am was talking about gifted children. So I feel that gifted children and these children are similar sometimes. You know, you need a lot of experience to understand both the children. So I feel children who need help are also gifted, but they're all gifted in a different way. The teacher also need to make an effort to bring them up. Okay, so these are the things that you need to do. And every time teacher enters the class, she needs to have a notebook with her. She needs to carry a notebook and she needs to have the names of all the children in that. And she needs to observe a few children every day in her classroom. Okay, and make a note of each child. That is very, very important. And what kind of assessment can be done for these children? This is called a triangulation of assessment. Okay, so we can do the conversational evidence, whatever the child is speaking regularly, you can give marks on that or grades on that. Then observe the child, what he is doing. Okay, maybe you are giving them some kind of work, maybe you're giving them some kind of projects. Observe the child, what he's doing in the project, and then ask them to, you grade them on that. Okay, and of course written evidence is always there. This is very simple, very easy for the teachers to do it. You just give them the question paper, then they write marks and you correct and give the marks. Okay, but these kind of observations like conversational evidence and observing them throughout the day, and these are difficult. So that's why you need to observe the child and put your remarks and the grades on that. This is called triangulation of assessment. Yes, ma'am. Next. So what are the 14 principles by Peterson, Hetty, and Tamer? He spoke about authentic learning. What is authentic learning? Authentic learning means if the children cannot connect to what the teacher is saying, okay? Or if the children cannot connect to the teacher, it's not real to them. Maybe if you're talking about a lot of snow that falls in Darjeeling or whatever, okay, you're talking about snow. If the child has not seen snow at all, then he cannot connect. Because I remember when I went first time to US, to Salt Lake City, that day actually I saw the snowfall for the first time when I was 50-year-old. Okay, and my niece asked me, you had not seen snow before at all? I said, no, I'd never seen snow before at all. And snowfall I'd never seen. And it looks so beautiful. So if the children cannot, at least you have to show the pictures, the videos, okay? You cannot take them to wherever Darjeeling and show them the snow, but at least you have to show them the videos or something, pictures. So children need to connect, okay? Authentic learning helps. Then multiple levels. Students are engaged in just right of what they're doing, okay? So you cannot keep the children only at their comfort zone. You have to stretch their knowledge a little bit. Don't stretch them so much that it breaks, and don't stretch them at all so that they get bored. The children should not get bored also, and children should not get too much of challenges also should not be there. The children should start getting frustrated. Suppose you give them too much of writing, okay? Then the children will get frustrated of writing. So go only up to their level, right level, that only the teacher will be able to say what is the right level for that child. Okay, that's why you need to know the level of the children. Then scaffolding, of course, every time you have to hold hands with the students, and also if you cannot do it, take the help from other teachers and scaffold. Okay, then give them some kind of higher order thinking. It should not be always bare minimum level. If the child is getting 49%, or if the child is getting A grade, just see to it, how can he get A plus grade? Or suppose if the child is getting C grade, just see to it that he can go, how can he get C plus grade? Or if I talk about percentage, 60%, take him to the 65% level. If the child is getting 65% level, take him to the 70% level. But you cannot take him child immediately to the 90% level. Okay, so give them some kind of higher order thinking in between. Then inclusive heterogeneous group. You all know that we need to do all different types of groups in the class. Maybe you can put the chits, ask them to pick up. Sometimes you can make your chits because you know your children better. Okay, so all different skills can come together and then they can work together. Then that is what it comes to, integrated skill learning. That means every child has different skills. So you know those skills of the children. Suppose if you want to plan an annual day, so you know the groups of the children who can sing well, who can dance well, who can speak well, who can write well. So you can make the team of those students, okay? Some children who can write well, they can write the poem. Some children who can give the music, they can give the music, okay? So this is integrated skills that they can do. Then focus on meaning on the functions that they do, okay? So next, sir. There was one more there. Collaborative. One more slide. Okay. No, sir. Next. Sorry. Okay. So this is the multi-level lesson plan that we have. A simple one that I'm just showing. You can see the lower order thinking question. Answer is 150. Okay. For all the things that we have. So the lower order thinking, middle order thinking, and higher order thinking, you can see. The simplest questions that have been put 10 plus 50, sorry, 100 plus 50 and 100 plus 25 plus. These kind of planning you need to do for multi-level lesson plan. Okay. Sir, I think there are some more points for, I said 14 points, no? Is there slide missing?
We have done 14.
1, 2, 3. No, is it gone ahead? Okay.
No, I'll just
read out. I think one slide is missing there. It's okay. Focus on meaning and function. Then building on student strength. You need to build on student strength. Then respect, fostering respect for others and students. And students' interest, of course, you need to focus on. And then collaborative learning. Collaborative learning is also very important. And reflection. You have to reflect on what the children are doing. Okay. And you have to reflect your own lesson plans every day. I keep telling the teachers that at least you give 5 to 10 minutes for yourself and sit down and reflect on the day that has happened. Okay. What went wrong and what went right. You just for 10 minutes, you can tell your people at home or family at home, sit down and quietly you say that this is my 10 minutes that I'm going to spend and reflect on your lesson plan that you did. Whatever has gone wrong, correct it. Whatever has gone right, you can use the same kind of methodology next time. So it is very important for the teachers to reflect on their lessons. Okay. Yes, sir. Next. Next slide. Okay. So how do you introspect now? When you're introspecting, you have to ask these questions to yourself. How I thought about the strength and needs of the students in my class? Have I thought? Have I thought about it? Has my planning ensured that all students can participate in the lessons and activities based on their entry points, strength and needs? Has my planning done that strength and needs? Then do my activities allow all students to explore the subject matter, generate discussions and support peer-to-peer interaction? Is there any interaction between the student? Am I giving time to them? So this is all the introspection questions you need to ask for yourself. Are my lessons and activities connected to the curricular and individualized outcomes? Whatever the outcomes have I written, is it matching? Okay, are they connected? So that you need to think. Okay, and if it is not, then you need to change your learning outcomes, or maybe you need to change your methodology. Okay, so next, sir. So do my question techniques include questions at various levels of understanding? So this is also, I keep telling the teachers, when you plan your lessons for the day, you need to plan your assessment first. What are the questions that I'm going to ask to see that my learning outcomes have been achieved? Okay, so if you say that my children will be able to add 3-digit numbers, okay, without carrying over, what kind of questions I'm going to ask? Okay, so those things you need to write down. When you plan itself, the questions needs to be planned before you go into the class. Otherwise, what happens is many of the teachers just casually ask the questions, and it should move from understanding to the application level, so that you are catering to all the children in your class. Of course, there are higher levels, but I'm just talking about these 3 levels just now. But when you plan your lessons, it should move from lower level to the higher level, so that you take care of all the children in your classrooms. Okay. Then also, are my students being encouraged and given time? That I spoke about already. You have to give time for your students. You cannot say, no, you don't know, I'm going to ask the other person. Okay, so you have to give time. Have I planned for wait time? Or how will I support students who rarely offer a response? How can I support him? How can I bring you out? Or maybe some child is solving some problem on the, if you call a child and ask him to solve a problem on the blackboard, you can ask somebody else to support. Or maybe you can say, okay, it's okay. The first step is right. I'm going to help you. This is the next step. Okay, so slowly you have to bring him to response and participate. Okay, then how will I encourage or support them to participate? That's what I'm saying just now. So how will I keep my class on topic? That is very difficult, not very difficult. So those 20 minutes of time or 40 minutes of time that you have to plan your 40 minutes very, very carefully. What am I going to do in the first 5 minutes? What am I going to do in the next 5 minutes? What am I going to do in the next 10 minutes? So you divide your time in such a way that there is no time for the children to wander their mind. Okay. So first you start off with the warm-up activity. Then you start off with your previous knowledge if you want. Then you give your whatever 10 minutes of your video, then 10 minutes of question answers, then 10 minutes of closure. Okay. So those timing of 40 minutes has to be divided very, very meticulously, because you know that the attention span of the children is not more than whatever, 14 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever. That's what I keep saying, that they say that it is chronological age plus 3 years. You add those 3 years to it. That means if the child is 14-year-old, not more than 17 minutes. So you don't go up to 17 minutes also. 10 to 15 minutes, you cannot finish your class in 10 to 15 minutes, but you have to change the activity after every 10 minutes. Suppose if you're doing reading, then you give them some kind of writing. Suppose if you're reading the poem, then you put up the poem in front of them and then read out the poem to them, then ask them to sing in pairs. Just ask them to hold their hands and then move around in the class and read only the 2 lines. Then ask them to get connected. 4 of them can get connected and then read the poem again. So you keep on changing the activities. That's how you can keep the children on the topic. That's what they say. Okay, there are different ways, but activities need to be changed after every 10 minutes. So how will I respectfully handle a student who dominates the discussion? How can you do that? So you can ask the child to teach in the class, or maybe you can ask the child to help somebody, or you can ask the child to take notes and then come back. Okay, so you have to respect that child also, and also see to it that he is not or she is not dominating the discussion. Yes, sir. Next. I hope I am keeping up with the time. Okay, this is okay. So we are just going to skip through all these points which have come from NEP. I'm sure you all must have read the NEP manual, and this is what it says: importance of intervention to promote school education for all minorities. And it's also talking about ECCE, and ma'am which spoke about ECCE on that day, Mrs. Popat, I think Ms. Popat, ma'am. Yeah. So it was a wonderful session, and also Mauli ma'am's session was very wonderful about gifted children. I missed out a few, but she spoke about all this. And then the next point is about the research. Research shows that these are the effective things that has happened in the rural areas. Of course, not in our metropolitan cities, but in rural areas, distributing of cycles has helped, forming working groups has helped, one-on-one teaching has helped. One-on-one teaching helps here also. That's what I said, like a remedial teaching that we have. Then peer tutoring had helped, open schooling has helped, okay? Then appropriate infrastructure has helped. But we need to still move ahead. Appropriate infrastructure is not there in the rural areas, because there are, in many schools, there are no toilets for girls. We need to improve on that. In addition, Government of India has constituted the Gender Inclusion Fund also. Free boarding facilities are there. Children with disabilities will be enabled to fully participate in regular schooling. That is also one of the good things that has happened. Yes, next, sir. NEP speaks about 20 points. We are just moving quickly towards all this. You all know about the Rights of Persons with Disability Act. Okay, it defines inclusive education as a system of education wherein students with or without disabilities learn together. And that's a wonderful thing that has happened. But what happens is, in this, you need to change the mindset of the parents, because we have a school called Kamayani for mentally challenged children. We plan to start an inclusive school there, but Kamayani is running there for almost 50 years now. When we thought of starting an inclusive school there, parents are not ready. Parents feel that this is a school for Divyang students. Why should our children come to this school? Okay, so it becomes very difficult to change the mindset of the parents. It will take time. I know it will take time until parents will accept. But once you have the school and when you accept the children with disabilities, some of the parents accept, some of the parents do not accept. But we need to change the mindset. Okay, next up. The school and school complexes also will be provided with resources for the integration of the children, and it should be fully, what do you call it? It should be disabled friendly school, disabled friendly school. You should have the lifts, you should have the ramps. Okay, so all those things you should have. Of course, many of the schools have got beautiful infrastructures. I'm sure about they will not have these infrastructure barriers at all. Okay, recruitment of special educators is very, very important. Okay, this is where we miss out on. Okay, then barrier-free access, children with disabilities that we already spoke about. Then schools and school complexes will work and be supported for providing all these children with disabilities and accommodations. Okay, next, sir. Children with benchmark disabilities shall have the choice of, they can have a choice of regular school or special schooling. They have to decide. And also resource centers in conjunction will help with the special educators and support rehabilitation of these children. And also it is difficult to for the rehabilitation of these children, because even for mentally challenged children, when we go and ask for, we have to go and find out what kind of work they can do. Of course, they have their own workshops. Okay, we have 50 to 100 students in the workshops. We cannot accommodate more in that workshop, but still these children can go and work also somewhere, maybe some kind of bakeries, but we have to find out and help them. Okay, they will also assist parents, guardians in achieving high quality homeschooling. Homeschooling is also coming up in a big way these days, and skilling for such students as needed. Yes, next year. Then how to teach these children with specific disabilities, that kind of training we need to take. Okay, that's why the schools need to send the teachers for all these different types of sessions are coming up from COE, like inclusive education and all. So if the teachers attend, they will know how to handle these children. The program will also focus on gender sensitization. Gender sensitivity workshops are also there, so the teachers will be gender sensitized. Okay, so next. So alternative forms of school we already spoke about. And yeah, there's also planning to do NCC and wings in secondary schools and higher secondary school in tribal areas. And all scholarships and other opportunities also will be given to this SEDGs group. Okay, next. This is very important. It also required to change the school culture, starting from your staff to the management. Everybody needs to be educated regarding this. Okay, all participants in the school education system, including teachers, principal, administrator, counselors, and all students need to be sensitized regarding this, regarding the RT, because you cannot keep on talking about these are the RT parent, this is RT student. Okay, in the staff room you're talking about this, you don't take the name of the child, that RT student, so you should not speak like this. Okay, that affects the child also, and you need to respect and dignity and privacy of all persons. That is very, very important for inclusive and equity. That's very important. You cannot talk about the children like this, and especially in the staff room. Okay, then inclusion and equity will become a key aspect of teacher education. Okay, so they are going to do in B.Ed colleges also, they are going to have this. Okay, then students will be sensitized also regarding the school culture brought by the teachers. The trained school social workers and counselor also will help. And the school curriculum will have these value education and life skills. Okay, so this will help the students to understand, and this should be integrated into your subjects. Yes, these are the 20 points that the national education policy has. Now we'll just talk about this universal design of learning. Then I think we'll finish after this.
Okay, ma'am.
Imagine you went into a big class and all that was inside was one type of learning, in one size, with no thought given to different individual body shapes or personalities. That would be crazy, right? Expecting everyone to be able to fit into the same size.
Sir, is the voice audible?
It's audible, ma'am. Audible.
Okay.
In many cases, exactly what is happening in our education system. When it comes to learning, variability is the rule, not the exception. Our college campuses are now grappling with the demands of an increasingly diverse cohort of learners. Increasing numbers of international students, students from different cultural and socioeconomic backgrounds, mature students, and students with disabilities. Despite this, curriculums are still designed for the mythical average learner, and all are expected to engage and learn on the same terms. Not enough flexibility is built in at the design stage to give all students equal opportunities to learn in ways that play to their own strengths. So, how can our institutions respond to these challenges? Enter Universal Design for Learning, or UDL for short. UDL is an educational framework that guides the design of learning goals, materials, methods, and assessments, as well as the policies surrounding these curricular elements for the diversity of learners in Ireland. The framework was developed by US organization CAST and is based on research in the field of neuroscience. It promotes 3 core principles for educators to build into their teaching practice, calling them out to provide students with multiple means of engagement, representation, and action and expression. The framework includes a set of guidelines on how you can turn these principles into practice. For example, by fostering collaboration with the introduction of Pupil with clear goals, roles, and responsibilities. By using different types of media to support learning and ensuring that all materials are accessible. And by providing a choice of assessment instruments while maintaining robust learning outcomes. You are probably already including some UDL elements in your practice without realizing, and there's much more to explore. So don't be afraid to let universal design for learning give you new lens through which to look at your teaching and learning practice and help you to better reach all of your students. For more information and resources, visit ahead.ie/UDL.
Okay, so what does UDL say? It's already very self-explanatory. We cannot have one design for all, like how we don't wear one dress. It doesn't fit everyone, okay? So same kind, it talks about the same thing. And all these automatic doors that you see on the metros and these are all universal design, planned by universal design because everybody can use that, okay? And also the ramps that we see. Students, so what does this says? Inclusive education of general students and special students, allowing general students to access multiple ways of learning. So you have to have multiple way of learning and representation. I'm just going to talk about that. Sir, next slide, please. There are 3 principles, 5 strategies, and 3 principles actually. Multiple means of representation, multiple sense of action, and multiple means of engagements. These are the 3 principles. And reflecting diversity in teaching and supporting social justice goals of fellow teachers. Yes, next, sir. In multiple representation, what can you do? Video representation you can do, highlight vocabulary in subject matter content, main ideas offered through graphic designer and concept mapping. Because of this online teaching, there are so many things that you can use. I put these Edpuzzles and quizzes. In Edpuzzle, what you can do is you can cut the videos and put your questions there and the children can answer, only then they can move forward. You can also put your voiceover in that. So there are, these are the methodology, sorry, these are the means you can use. And also there are quizzes. You can search for it. If you go on quizzes, so you can put on the music and solve your maths paper. Okay. So it's so nice. Children are so interested. They are listening to the music and solving their quizzes. Okay. And children are very much interested in doing these things. And Visu is you have to visualize the word. You can visualize the word. It's an app. So you can just go and Google Visu. You will see it. These are all color shading and you all must be doing this. These are the apps that I just wanted to tell you. So just go to the next, please. Then how can you do the expression? You can do through written, oral. Of course, you're all doing this. Role plays. You can do role plays. You can ask them to create some piece of art. Not only the testing cannot happen, only written or oral. You can ask them to do the role plays also. And then through a lot of different assistive activities like single switch and through voice activity switches and expanded keyboards. They have expanded keyboards for some disabled people. Okay, so next, sir. So how can you keep your engaged? The visual avatars. Visual avatars is called any character that you like. He comes on in front. It's called Voki. It's also an app. You can just search for it. The visual avatar comes in front of you and he speaks about that story that you want to listen. Or maybe the reading of your book can be done by this visual avatar. Okay, the character that you like. Choice of topics of the projects. Simple self-monitoring checklist that you have to have. Then curriculum handouts for the students to self-assess. They can self-assess their own activities that they are doing. Frequent feedbacks we spoke about. Computer softwares to teach early reading. There are many computer softwares, I think, for reading. Then paired peers to share small group activities. Okay, you can have them paired or maybe you can have them in group activities. Yes, sir. Next.
Ma'am, excuse me.
Sorry?
It will, how many slides more are there?
No, we will not go for higher education things, sir. Only thing is I just wanted to finish off with the
okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
UDL, please.
Okay.
Universal. Just we'll finish with the diversity thing and then I'll finish it off.
Yeah. UDL is coming.
Yeah. The social, this one, supporting social justice goals and then reflecting diversity in teaching. Every student benefits with this inclusion and sense of belonging. That's what I said. Sense of belonging needs to be there, not only for students, even for the teachers. Students should feel that they belong to the school. Okay. And I also speak to the teachers the same way that you need to work as if you own the school. Okay. I know because many teachers leave the schools and go to different schools, but wherever you work during that time, at least, you should feel that you are the part of the school and you need to belong to the school. And then you need to own the school and work accordingly. Then it will be more happier. Okay, for you also. And each students bring the value to the community. Yes, sir. Next. Okay, so you have to take support from each teacher. It's not a very easy job to bring in social justice. Okay. Yes, sir. You can move ahead, please. It's okay because there is no time right now.
Yeah, we have some question answer session also, ma'am.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
No issues.
Yeah. So this is what it says. I love this. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. You must love what you're doing. If you do not love that, then you're not in a correct profession. Okay. That's very important. Yes, sir. Next. These are all the references that I used and I thank you. These are my words. I wish and hope that one day there are no boundaries or barriers across the nations and people can move around freely. Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for over. Yeah, I know. I took more time.
It's okay. No problem. Thank you so much, ma'am.
If there are any questions, I'm there. Yeah.
We'll do it. In fact, you have covered almost everything related to the topics, ma'am, and I have not.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
For any doubts. And you have started the topics by introducing your own experiences. When born at one place, brought up at another place, educated at another place, working at another place. That was a very good example for the inclusion. Now, without wasting much time, already we have overshot the time. Let me invite one of our panel members, Dr. Deepa Chandran, to put forward at least one question received from the chat box. Ma'am, Deepa, ma'am, please.
Good evening, ma'am. It was a wonderful, thought out presentation of Equitable, I'm bringing about all these people under one roof and how effectively it can be done. One of the question in the chat box was you were talking about shadow teacher, remedial teacher, and the regular teacher. So all of them had a doubt in their mind. What should be a qualification of a shadow teacher whom you engage in your classes?
Usually with the, I think, psychology background we take. Okay, maybe BA psychology. She understands the children better.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And then we don't see any training as a teacher. Right now, we are not appointed any teacher with the BEd or anything, but teacher with the psychology background, we are taken as a shadow teacher.
And even I think, madam, like every school, if they adopts in the month of 2 months vacation, if the teachers are trained by the psychologist, how to identify, how to help out, even the regular teachers, I think those teachers who are appointed as remedial teachers, even if you don't get sufficient number of psychology qualified teachers, I think the other teachers also can help out in that process.
Correct. Yes.
Isn't
Thank you, Deepa.
Yes, thank you, madam, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Now let me request our next panel member, Ms. Dubari Damtare, to raise the question from the chat box.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for the lovely session. One small query. You already said that about the qualification of the teacher. Is there any class strength ratio, as in a teacher-student ratio that needs to be there specifically if we are having inclusive, education and students in the classroom?
You're talking about student-teacher ratio, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it should be 15:1 according to me.
Okay.
10 to 15 children and one teacher, as far as possible.
Okay.
Because we usually have, if we have 30 students in one class, and there are one teacher who is helping in both the classes. Like suppose if we have 30 children in 2 classes, there are 3 teachers. That is, we call it as 1.5 teacher. We can't call it as 1.5 teacher, but 3 teachers are helping in 2 classes.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
15 is to 1. 15 is to 1 is the ratio.
Yeah, that is the ratio suggested by the department also. I mean, the government also, I think.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Rupali, ma'am. All the participants are requested to please fill the feedback form which is available in the chat box. I would like to remind all the participants that the attendance of minimum 5 webinars along with the feedback submission is mandatory for you to get your e-certificate. And a gentle reminder to all of you to stay tuned for our 7th webinar on coming Tuesday, 23rd February by Dr. Vijayam Ravi, Educational Consultant and Associate Director, Hema Foundation, Mumbai, on the topic efficient resourcing and effective governance through school complexes and clusters. I think, madam, ultimately it's up to the school or the educators, that is the teachers, to keep the inclusion in a successive way. Now I request our zonal director for Qatar, Dr. Subhash Nair, to conclude the session and propose vote of thanks. Subhash, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good evening, Madhulika ma'am, and all the participants of today's session. On behalf of Center of Educational Initiative and Research, CEIR Global, I thank its board of directors, zonal directors, and all the members. We thank all the principals, teachers, and educators who made this session meaningful through their participation. I thank Vijayam Katha ma'am for her initiative. Thank you, Dr. Suresh Nair, Dr. Sreesan, Dr. Deepa, and Dr. Rubali for your participation. Thank you, Madhulika ma'am, for this wonderful session going into the depth of inclusion and equity in education. As you rightly projected, what we need is the right mindset and sense of belonging for fostering a nurturing environment for education. We need inclusion and not just integration.
Correct.
Let's hope NEP 2020 will stimulate evolution of pedagogies helping every child to learn and excel in a nurturing environment, irrespective of their differences and limitations.
Yes,
We are
sir.
grateful to you, ma'am, for this
Yes.
authentic learning.
Okay.
Based
So
on
can I just say one word, please, if you don't mind?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yes.
Over to you.
Yeah, I just want to thank all of you, those who have joined, and thank CEIR for giving me this opportunity to put forth my views and my experiences. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for participation. And this is our 6th webinar. And I hope everybody will be there for the next session also. And Madhulika ma'am, a flow of good comments coming on the Facebook as well as the chat box of the Zoom.
Okay, okay.
It's a very, very interesting, and everybody is, I mean, it was a very informative session, and you have given so much, I mean, the best practices or the experiences, the way in which we can do it in our school, how we have to do it, how we can do it. And so some of us are maybe doing it also, but still, when you say that one, that means what we are doing is right, in the correct way we are going, that we'll be finding it happy also. So thank you very much on the behalf of CEIR and on my personal behalf.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good evening to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I leave the meeting now?
Yeah, please.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.